welcome back to the channel, gents. Do you ever shut down or blow up when things start getting intense? So like 1 minute you're silent, and then the next minute you're sarcastic, you're explosive, and it leaves both of you confused or disconnected. Well, that's not emotional control, right? That's survival mode. I think we've covered it before. So that's survival mode. Excuse me. So my name's Colin. Welcome to the channel. This is all about becoming an authentic man. Today let's break down like why so many men toggle between withdrawal or emotional reactivity, right? Exploding back. Where this pattern comes from, and how to respond to conflict with grounded strength instead. So let's jump in. Why we shut down or explode? Let's take a look at that. Let's break that down. So most men never learned how to deal with tension directly. You go silent, you emotionally check out, you avoid fights to keep the peace, right? Walk on eggshells. I've done all of these. So I've gone the silent route. I have emotionally checked out, and I have avoided fights to try keep the peace. But this actually builds a disconnect or a disconnectment and resentfulness, right? You become really resentful, and not just you, both sides. Like your wife or your partner will get resentful as well. So it's for both sides, which is pretty interesting. So emotional outbursts, right? So like you it builds these with that disconnect. You get the emotional outbursts. So you have sarcasm, anger, explosiveness, right? You eventually it just explodes. So because you hold it all in, right? You hold everything in, and you push it down, you suppress it, and it has to come out somehow. So it comes out and spills over, and then how does it spill over? Sarcasm, right? You become very sarcastic. You're passive aggressive. You become very, very passive aggressive. As I said, it leaks out, and it your direct expression feels unsafe, right? So what I mean by this, okay, let me break that down. So you can't be direct. You can't express yourself directly. Therefore, it leaks out, or you suppress it, and then it leaks out in sarcasm, um, resentfulness, and then eventually you explode, right? So, and you're not trying to hurt your partner, right? With this explosions and these fights, and you're not trying to hurt them. You don't know how to express yourself. You don't know how to protect yourself, right? Because it's all rooted out of fear. So you don't know how to protect yourself from the trauma. So you're not trying to hurt yourself or your partner. So let's look at the root of the pattern, right? So what causes this basically? The root is, it usually comes from childhood conditioning or childhood trauma, right? Or of your early life, from birth to your teens, right? It it usually that's where it manifests. That's where it comes from, right? So you were punished, you were ignored for expressing emotions, especially. So you expressed something, you expressed your anger, and you got punished for it. You expressed your, I don't know how to say it. You expressed your disappointment, and then you got punished for that. Whatever, like those emotions that you felt as a kid, right? If you let other people see them, they judged you for that. They made you feel unsafe, and that if I express them, then I won't be loved or taken care of. So and then you had to, and because of that, you had to manage other people's moods to be safe, right? So you suppressed yours, managed theirs, right? um, you were never shown, or not, the next one is, you were never shown how to stand your ground without blowing up. You know, um, so it was never example to you to how to calmly and grounded and to discuss these things, to express your emotions. You never saw that. What you saw was just explosiveness, arguing, fighting, whatever in your life that led to this. So from that, your nervous system has configured or programmed itself to see conflict as danger and not just a disagreement, right? So when conflict happens, you just automatically, you're unsafe, you're scared, you don't feel safe. That little boy in you from childhood comes back. Even though you're a grown ass man now, he still comes back. He's out there. Or he comes out, right? He's in there and he comes out. So then you go into your flight or fight mode for survival, right? That little boy comes out to take care of it again, and obviously the fight is your sarcasm, your anger, your emotional dumping. Like that's another thing that guys do a lot now is emotional dumping. Flight. What is flight? Flight is the shutting down, withdrawing, and going just silent, right? Disconnecting, disengaging from the scenario, from the person. That is the flight. It's not where you want to be. So let's jump into the what is the cost of the pattern, right? What the hell does this cost you? So like this costs you a lot. Uh, let's see. So yeah, so as I said, it may cost because you think that avoiding these problems will actually, you know, well, yeah, you think you're avoiding these problems, but what you're actually doing is digging a deeper hole, right? You're actually creating more bigger problems down the line, right? Yeah, it immediately feels good. You covered it. You escaped that situation, but long term, you're just screwing it up yourself, man. You're just making it way more difficult. So So what I mean like that? Okay, so first one, you train her to not trust you because you break your boundaries, because you explode, because you're sarcastic and you're passive aggressive. You've basically shown her, I can't trust you. So you train her to not trust you, right? Well, to trust your presence, should I say? Right? Then you have because you're avoiding truth, and you're exploding whenever truth comes into play here, or gets too close to home. You explode. You're sarcastic and resentful, whatever, passive aggressive. But then you lose self respect, right? Because you are doing these things, you lose your self respect because you know deep down it's not right. It's what's happening. You've masked it, but your body knows, right? Your mind knows. Your soul knows. So the next one is she never feels emotionally safe or led, right? So you can't control your emotions. So she doesn't feel safe with emotionally with you. I can't rely on you. I can't explain my problems. I can't because you can't control yours, because you can't lead yourself, right? And if you can't lead yourself, how can you lead me? So basically what she is feeling inside. Not necessarily, she might not know it verbally or consciously. Unconsciously, that is what she is feeling. And then you have, another byproduct is you never feel fully understood, or you never fully feel seen, right? So you're not understood and you're not seen. So you never, when you suppressing all of these emotions and not dealing with the stuff, you're gonna find you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, you don't feel like you exist in these places, like you're true to yourself, is what essentially what it is. So how do we do this? How do we fix this crappy situation? Well, it's grounded conflict leadership, right? This is what I've got here. So I've written down on this one. It's conflict grounded leadership. What do I mean by that? So to break this cycle, you need to build the capacity to lead, stay, and respond. Right? I will say that again. You need to build the capacity to lead, stay, and respond. Right? Not passive aggressive sarcasm explosion crap. No. Feel, stay, and respond. Right? So how do we do it? The first step one. Okay, step one. Catch yourself before you shut down or explode. Again, so I've said this many times before, awareness is the first step. The first key step is awareness, right? So before you shut down, before you disengage, catch yourself. Catch yourself, right? Then regulate. Step two is regulate yourself. Regulate. What do I mean by regulate? Breathe. Sit up straight. Speak slower. Focus on your body, right? So like what that does when you do that, right? You sit up straight, you focus on your body and whatnot, you shift from response to presence, right? Because at first you're gonna, while you catch yourself, you catch yourself, oh, okay, I'm gonna start disengaging. That is a response. Or that's a reaction, sorry. That is a reaction. And what you want to do is you want to shift that from just reacting, and you want to shift it to responding. So every human has 1 or 2 seconds or 3 seconds where they can choose a response. We have just become so lazy, well, not lazy, so programmed to react all the time, just react. Whereas there is a situation where you don't have to react. You can pause and choose the actual response you want. It takes a bit of practice, but there is that. So you speak from, and then step number 3 is speak from ownership, right? Don't deflect. Don't blame other people. Speak what's real, clearly, and cleanly, right? Take responsibility, ownership. So don't blame other people. Put it on yourself. You are responsible for yourself. You're not responsible for other people, how they react and whatnot, no. But you're responsible for how you react, how you take ownership. So instead of saying, you always twist my words, you can say like, when I feel misunderstood, I get defensive, right? I want to connect, not fight, right? You can change it essentially. Oh, that's itchy eye. Sorry. So yeah, so you want to connect and not fight, essentially, is what you're saying. So I feel misunderstood, not you twist my words. You see the difference? So what does real strength look like? Okay, real strength looks like a strong man can stay in the fire of conflict without attacking or fleeing. That is a bit difficult. I would say a bit difficult, but it takes a lot of practice, right? Well, not a lot of practice, but you need to get really comfortable sitting in that fire of conflict without attacking and without fleeing. So you're not attacking the person. Doesn't mean you lay down and let them run over you or just walk all over you. No, but you don't attack, right? He stays calm under pressure. He listens without collapsing, right? Without breaking, snapping, right? Without collapsing. He speaks the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Excuse me. That's what makes a man feel safe, respected, and attractive. Not just to others, but to himself. That's essentially it. Like, that's the main point. To himself. All right. So I want to give you like a kind of a reflection activity or challenge, right? So where do you go when you shut down or you blow up, right? When you shut down or blow up, where do you go? Start thinking about that. And what would you change if you could stay centered in the middle, right, of all conflicts, or if you just stayed centered, you know, what would change? Mark down what would change in your life. And then if this helps you, maybe subscribe, give a like, thumbs up, I don't know. But emotional safety isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about leading through it, right? You lead through the conflict. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.